Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for a relegation scrap preview. Isn't it fun? Isn't it fun? How many games do we have left? Like 7 or 8 or whatever it is in the league. And we still haven't even got 40 points. And with our running coming up, who knows if we're even going to score another point or 3 or God knows what. God knows what. Times are not simple at Chelsea Football Club nowadays. Times are not simple. We can't score a goal to save our lives. We can't win the game to save our lives. I mean, what the flip do you want? The manager tells us he's going to rotate, which means half the players that are going to play tomorrow are going to be players that are probably not even going to be here next season. So then you've got to question yourself again. It's like, is there any point in doing that even? I don't know. There's a lot to get through because Fabrizio Romano decided, I'm going to give out all the transfer news today and manager news. So nothing ginormous, but still a few things that we need to touch on and a couple of other conversations. In particular, what happens in goal of Chelsea Football Club? Does Edouard Mendy come back in? Does Kepa keep his spot? We will talk about that and a lot of other things in a lot of depth. Damesh, if I'm not mistaken, you weren't here on Wednesday. So let me quickly use this opportunity to recap on that one a little bit. Now in hindsight, how are you feeling? What do you think? Obviously, we've got the second leg coming up on Tuesday already. Any chance left in your mind? Or is 2-0 already too big to even have the smallest slimmer of hope?
I said at 1-0, I think there's probably a 50% chance. And now that it's 2-0, I still think there's some chance, but I think probably like 15 to 10% chance now. And I've always said, I think I said on the preview,
it's double digits, bro.
Yeah, literally, yeah. But I think what it is, I think I said on the preview last week that anything under 2 goals, I would still feel somewhat confident for. And as long as we kept the aggregate score down to 2, I still think we have a chance. So based on that, I think there's a slim chance, but I don't think we're completely out of it. I think given how Madrid played, I think we should take some sort of confidence from that going into the bridge on Tuesday. And we've seen what we've been like against teams that come to the bridge in the Champions League. And I honestly don't think Madrid were that good. I just think we were worse on the day, which is not surprising seeing as Chelsea. But a lot of people thought that Chelsea would sort of turn up in the Champions League away from home like we did last season, obviously with a different setup. The initial lineup, I wasn't complaining too much, but I think as we got into the game more and more, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I think I definitely got it wrong with the 3-5-2. I just didn't think it sort of worked out, in my opinion, with having especially Felix and Sterling up front. But I mean, yeah,
if we think in hindsight something else would have worked better, or do you think just nothing would have worked?
Do you know what it is? As much as we slate Havertz and we don't like Havertz, I think having him in sort of the front two with either Havertz or Sterling or Havertz and Felix, I think maybe would have worked out slightly better, in my opinion. I don't know if we would have scored, but I think our sort of the hold-up play up front would have been at least a little bit better, because every time Felix or Sterling got the ball, they'd just be absolutely bullied off by Militao and Oliver, respectively. So, yeah, some things would have changed, but I don't think a lot would have changed, if that makes sense in a way. I think we would have performed a little bit better in our sort of transitional play, and I think we have to fully go for it, I think, now and for Tuesday. We've got nothing to lose. It's our most important game, and I put a rug shout out there. Maybe Mudryk at left wing back, man. Let's do it. Why not? At this point, with no Chilwell.
I mean, it might be big play. It might be small play. I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we'll ever find out, if I'm honest, bro. But yeah, obviously Chilwell now suspended. That is obviously something to take into consideration as well. One last question on that before we move on to tomorrow's game. Myself, Pies, and Aaron, and then Clutch as well. We were discussing, and Bertram. We were discussing kind of what we felt the main issue was. Obviously, the same issues we've had all season, but on the night in particular, because we played Dortmund. Yes, Dortmund are a very different caliber to Real Madrid, and in Dortmund we also lost, to be fair. But we lost, unfortunately, due to not taking multiple chances and conceding one stupid counter-attacking goal because we decided to defend at the end with one man back. But Wednesday was very different. For me, it was the players just didn't believe that they could win. Now, I think it was Bertram, or was it Aaron, that put it more down to the players don't care? I'm not sure which one it is. Now, for some, it might be a lack of care. For some, it might be not believing. For some, it might be both. How do you see that? And depending on how you see it, how does that entail into tomorrow as well? Because if the players didn't care, then they shouldn't play again. If it's a lack of belief, then obviously that's an issue, but I don't think that's an issue to drop them for, if that makes sense.
With regards to sort of the positions and the performance, I think it was a bit of everything where the confidence didn't stem from Kepa at all, with a couple of misplaced passes, and obviously fault for the second goal, in my opinion. Arguably the first, maybe less so, but there's obviously that debate to be had if he could have done better with the first goal. And then the midfield as well didn't help themselves at times as well in transition and as well as defending their own sort of box. The forwards didn't help themselves either. So I think it's a bit of every sort of department, really, whether that's the forwards, the midfield, the defense didn't help themselves as well. So, and the wing backs as well didn't really perform that well. So it was a combination of everything. I think I don't think it's a lack of care. I think it's more lack of belief of actually going to Madrid and performing, because we've seen in the past last year how good the form we went into the Madrid game. Don't get me wrong. I think we did we score 6 at Southampton just before we played Real Madrid? Yeah,
we did.
Just before that, and obviously that bodes so much confidence.
Are you trying to tell me we're going to win 6-0 tomorrow?
You never know. Maybe. Who knows? You can keep it quiet, but yeah. I just think it's a lack of belief with this season. We've had so many results not go our way this season and not performing, and I think the occasion for some of these players, like Fofana, for example, first time. This is probably Wednesday was his biggest game of his career. I think going to the Bernabeu away, in my opinion, got absolutely shredded apart by Vinny Jr. I'm not having this Reece got cooked, man. Like, he had a bad performance, don't get me wrong, but this idea that Reece James got cooked against Vinicius Juniors, like, I don't think it was that deep.
Oh, really? You don't think? I personally, I'll have to disagree. I think Reece got cooked way worse than Fofana did. Fofana at least had a few moments where he stopped Vinicius. I don't think Reece did once. At least he didn't feel like that.
I feel that's probably my love for Reece, I think, man. But
yeah.
but the lack of belief, bro, in the team is scary at the moment. Because if you can't even
do you think that would be different against Brighton, or do you think that's just a?
That's what I was just about to say, bro. It's like, if you can't really have that sort of belief and motivation to turn up against Madrid, and then we got nothing to play for in the league, how the hell are you going to turn up against Brighton? Like, it's madness to us.
Because
like,
Brighton ain't easy. I mean, that's the thing. We're not playing Brighton from 3 years ago. We're playing Brighton from right now, which is
who are fighting for arguably the Champions League. So
exactly.
it's going to be such a tough game tomorrow. And like, I can see us just getting like a jammy win. It'd just be so like typical of us to scrape a win, or Brighton just not perform on the day, because they got robbed against Spurs, man. So they'll be looking for some like redemption as well. So yeah, man. But sort of back to the Madrid game, I put that down to sort of a lack of belief and the fact of the name Real Madrid as well. They've won the Champions League more than anyone. They have Carlo in charge. They've got players like Ramadan Benzema as well. They got Vinny Jr. They got that midfield to completely stack. Rudiger as well, obviously playing against us for the first time. Courtois, ex-player as well. So for their standpoint, they were just fully pumped for us, and I just didn't think we were good enough or didn't have any belief on the day, to be honest. And yeah, let's just roll to Tuesday. Let's just put all our eggs into that game, man. Like, I don't mind if Frank sort of puts a rotated team, but it still has to be good enough to beat Brighton, I guess. But I guess we can't pick and choose what team we want for tomorrow, I guess, because we have to get the points. We have to get to that 40-point mark, man. 1 point away.
Bro, we really do. We really, really do. And Mohamed, while you're not wrong, so was Fofana from the 5th minute of the game. So, like, if you're going to give Reece that excuse in quotation marks, then the same excuse, I suppose, can be given to Fofana, because neither is an excuse. Reece shouldn't have got booked when he got booked to be on in danger of getting suspended for next week, and Fofana shouldn't have got himself booked after 5 minutes in the game. Do you know what I mean? So
one thing as well, substitutions from Lampard. I don't know what that was about with taking off Thiago Silva and who was the other one? I can't remember now. Was it
Kante?
Was it Kante? It was Kante, wasn't it? Well,
I just think they couldn't handle it any longer, because especially Thiago was obviously rushed back to some extent, so it was probably a case of, But
then switching to a back four, bro, it's so risky. It's like, do you want us to actually like have a chance?
We didn't concede again after he came off, did we?
No, I know. No,
I don't think.
I think it was at 2-0, wasn't it? I think he made those subs, I believe. Yeah. But it was just
it's a weird one. We got a bit unlucky on that as well, obviously. I mean, I agree, he should have made a sub at halftime, but obviously then Koulibaly got injured, so that forced the sub. And then Chilwell got sent off, so that forced the sub. So like he was a little bit hindered in that sense. Pice, let me take it to you. Thank you for coming on, as always, mate. I appreciate it. Back to Stamford Bridge for you tomorrow. Back to Stamford Bridge for Frank Lampard tomorrow, which feels weird because it's only been barely a week, but it already feels like Lamps has been here forever and he's been miserable for the whole time. Do you think the hype has already died down of Frank's appointment and being back in charge of Chelsea for a home game? Or do you think that will still be there a little bit tomorrow and potentially help us?
I mean, I can't lie. Everything I've seen so far, I don't think there's much hype at all. I mentioned in the Wolves stream we did, I think it was so quiet, for a lot of the time. There was a few songs here and there, but it's definitely not the same vibe as when he came back the first time. And, the whole thing about, me saying, oh, he's going to motivate the players. We did play quite good football under him last time. Much better players now. Hopefully they'll, react to a club legend being in charge. Doesn't seem like that at all. Just seems exactly the same as under Graham Potter. And I think that's very disappointing. It's like, I hear what, Darmish is saying about, it's Real Madrid, they weren't up for it. That type of thing. I can't accept that. I'm sorry. I can't, I don't care who the fuck they've got. They didn't even play well. And I think, Darmish saying, we may take some confidence from, going into next week, how they played. I think we should be even more worried because if that's Real Madrid at first gear, they hardly even tried against us. Like, I've not seen Real Madrid play that bad in a long time, to be fair. They weren't great at all, and they still beat us 2-0.
They've been great all season, though, bro. To be honest, it's like when you've seen them, they've only turned up realistically against Liverpool, and they're 15 points off. So I mean,
that game against Liverpool was something that that is Real Madrid for you. That is what they do. That's when they step up.
But even that game, if Klopp had a brain and just realised, I'm 2-0 up. How about you just go a little bit more defensive? Because all that happened in the remainder of that game is they got countered once after the other, after that. And obviously Alisson's mistake. But if they just sat a bit deeper, no way would Madrid have still won the game. They might have still got a 2-1, maybe a 2-2 even, and they probably would have knocked them out of the Bernabeu. But it certainly wouldn't have ended 5-2 if Liverpool just did things properly, They only scored 2 against us and we are dog shit. Do you know what I mean? And it needed our whole team to be completely asleep from a corner for them to even score a second. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. At the bridge, taking it back to the bridge, I think a 2-goal deficit, I don't think it's the worst thing in my opinion. It obviously could have been worse. Say if Madrid had fully turned up, could have put 4 or 5 past us. But the fact that we're somewhat still in the tie, I think that's definitely a positive I'm taking out of it. And I mean, it is what it is if we go out. I mean, we've only got ourselves to blame, but I don't think it's impossible, to be honest, on Tuesday. I think we can turn this around. Obviously, we're not scoring goals. We haven't scored for 6 hours.
I would love your confidence. Confidence.
I love the confidence as well. We have to hope and pray.
It's the last Champions League game, boys. We're not getting Europe next season. Might as well make the most of it, eh?
Hey, I mean, maybe it's my fault. On Tuesday, I introduced the preview for the Madrid game with maybe the last preview of the season that matters. Well, kind of feels like it was.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean,
unless we're down the bottom, we're fighting relegation, man. Imagine, can you imagine we're 17th of the last 3 games to go, man? We're will Chelsea survive or something like that?
No, exactly that. All right, Pies, shall we get into a bit of transfer news before we take a deeper dive into Chelsea versus Brighton tomorrow? So the first bit that came out quite early in the day was Nizar's exclusive saying Man City and Liverpool are among the clubs showing interest in Chelsea's Levi Colwill. Chelsea want to renew his deal, which expires in 2025. Colwill doesn't want another loan, so Brighton will have to sign him to keep him. I think Nizar, if City and Liverpool want him, I don't think him going to Brighton permanently is what's on the cards here. But what is the situation now? I'm not going to use Alex Goldberg as a source, but, we should probably all be aware by now that the guy knows enough people. And he's like, oh, well, don't worry about it. He's in the future plans. Do you see him at all going? Because I don't. If anything, I think this is going to help Chelsea understand how good he is and make sure we don't tell him the fact that these clubs are interested.
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit worried about, obviously, who we could sell in terms of, we have to raise a certain amount of money. We definitely have to sell some players, and it's definitely been briefed a lot over the last, couple of months, I would say, about the academy players being, the first port of call, especially if we don't get Champions League, which obviously looks like a 1% chance at the moment. So
not even that, bro.
Yeah, like a 0.01.
We're further from Champions League than we are from last. So
yeah, the 1% chances that we go on and win it, but
okay, I guess. Yeah.
But I don't think he'll leave. If he did leave, I think it would actually be a catastrophe. I rate this guy very highly, especially with Man City and Liverpool interested. Like, yeah, no, he's not worth selling for a big bid. He needs to be a part of our future defense. I think he's a very good player and will become even better player. His ball playing ability is so good. But like him and Badiashile, both left-footed centre backs, like having them fight out for the left centre back spot. You have Koulibaly and that. We have a lot of defenders, so it's going to be interesting to see who goes. But like, for example, if we kept Koulibaly, like if we had to sell someone, like for me, Chalobah probably will go for game time. Which would be a shame, actually, because I really like Chalobah. I think he's underrated. And I hope we don't sell him to a Premier League team, because I think he could be quite a good pickup for a good price.
Right? Because,
maybe he goes to...
I can see him in Serie A, to be honest.
Yeah, hopefully he goes to Serie A or something. But, yeah, I mean, Koulibaly's another one, but I just hope we don't sell him.
But isn't the issue that we need to raise the money before... A lot of the money, we need to raise it before June 30th, and the international transfer market only opens on July 1st. So all the money that we need to recoup for FFP things, we need to sell within England.
Yeah, that was the case last summer. I don't know if it's going to be the same this summer. But
I saw it reported somewhere earlier today, but I forgot who it was. So I think Liam told me, but I didn't read the article itself. But the kind of his tweet about it essentially hinted at that being the same case again. So yeah. We'll have to be prepared for a few Premier League sales. Now, Chalobah will be unfortunate, but one that bothers me, I would see it's kind of similarly to Mark Guehi in terms of his sale, I guess. Will be very interesting, especially for these youngsters. Will we include buyback clauses, right of refusal, or first option or whatever? Will we include any of that in their sales? That will be interesting. But yeah, no, I'm in agreement with you. Levi Colwill can't go anywhere. He's one of our biggest assets. He will only grow as an asset. So even if you were to ever consider him selling him, certainly now ain't the time. Now, obviously, I know with his contract running out in 2025, if you don't manage to time down longer, then obviously it's an issue. But for, in general, just time down. Apparently, he wants to be here anyway if he's given a chance. So give him a chance. Do you know what I mean? It's not like Badiashile is constantly getting picked anyway. As much as we all maybe disagree with that choice, it's not like he's, it's kind of irrelevant because we don't know who the next manager is and what they will think of both Badiashile, Colwill, and whoever. But as of right now, at least, Chalobah over Cucurella. I mean, the problem is Cucurella's value dropped drastically in the last year. Also, problem is who plays in the right, who plays in the left. At the same time, we arguably need Cucurella less. But then, we will probably end up selling Martin, even though I'd much rather keep Martin and sell Cucurella. But homegrown, how much that leads into, financial fair play books and stuff. So, it's probably going to have to be Chalobah rather than Cucurella, unfortunately, from that point of view. Dharmesh, I'm not expecting you to be an expert on Levi Colwill, but do you agree that those clubs' interest, if true, will, if anything, only make Chelsea more likely to keep him? Because, especially Bowley is like, He doesn't know how good a player is. He doesn't know football well enough. Sure, he will be told by Vivo and Stewart and Wistani and all these guys. But if he hears interest or let alone an offer for a player like Colwill from Liverpool or Man City, surely that will be, no matter what anyone has told him, he'd be like, whoa, he's got to be flipping good then, so I can't sell him, right?
Yeah, literally. I think I remember asking, I can't remember who it was. I think it was either Pies or you on our group chat. I think I asked, is Levi Colwill actually that good? Because I don't watch Brighton a lot this season. And I think the one game that sort of stood out to me was that performance against Liverpool. I believe it was it the 5-1 or the 4-0 in the league? I think they absolutely decimated them. And his performance that day was superb. And that's the only time I watched him back then. But since I think Pies sent me a comp, via DM or on our group chat, I think, and literally, I watched the comp and I was like, wow, this guy reminds me of a Laporte, because Laporte is one sort of left-footed centre back, that I've really admired over the past few years. I've always wanted a Laporte type centre back who's good on the ball, can pass really well. And having watched more of Levi Colwill, he definitely fits that sort of profile. And yeah, I think I'm swayed by Levi Colwill to sort of stay, to be honest. And it's good that the interest is there, but if we can keep him and then maybe sell other assets, if we can, then yeah, that'd be great. And as you mentioned, Badiashile and Colwill obviously fight for that sort of left centre back position. So which will be great competition as well for both of them. They both push themselves, and we've seen how sort of important that is to other players in the team in terms of competition in certain positions. I think Reece James will find that competition quite well as well next season with Gusto coming in. So I think if anything, it'll elevate his game, and I think he's probably ready for to come into a team like Chelsea.
I agree, mate. I agree. This is an interesting comment here by Mitch saying people forgetting we apparently selling a lot of homegrown players, but we still need to meet the quota of homegrown players, which is, I think you need 8 homegrown players in your 25-man Premier League squad. So we can't sell all of them. Obviously we might just, if we don't loan out, say, a Lewis Hall, or, maybe we'll just bring one of those in and put them on the list just to fill the quota. But I don't think you can sell all of them. You definitely can't sell all of them, because even by the way, it doesn't actually count, because he spent too much time in that important time frame outside of England that he even counts as homegrown in that, from that logic. So as far as I understood that situation.
Yeah.
So, how many are you going to sell? Do you know what I mean? Like, we still need to keep a couple. Okay, let's assume Colwill is going to be one. Let's assume Reece James is going to be one. Now, and then who? Chukwuemeka is one, but Broja is one, assuming he doesn't move just because of his injury. So that's 4. We still need another 4. we can't sell all of them. Pice, is that something that you've considered, or that you think and hope that the club are considering enough? Especially if we get rid of Gallagher and Mount and Ruben and and Chalobah, that's 4 gone of homegrown ones. Like I say, we can't get rid. Bettinelli is true. Bettinelli counts as one as well, and he of course extended his contract. So we are currently on 5, I guess. But still, that still needs another 3.
Well, you've got Chukwuemeka. I think he'll probably.
I counted Chukwuemeka already.
Oh, right. Hutchinson as well.
Who?
Murray Hutchinson.
Lewis Hall maybe as well.
No. If Hutchinson and Lewis Hall don't go out on loan, but if they do, then what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they'll definitely be thinking about this.
Maybe they're going to buy Rice, I guess. He, of course, would count.
Yeah, they'll definitely be thinking about this, though. Like, they're not that stupid.
No, it's true. I just think it's important that fans also remember it when we talk about, sell him. I'm like, well, yeah, but there are certain rules that you need to abide by that you can't just ignore because you think a player is ass. Do you know what I mean? Not quite as simple as that sometimes. But yeah, we had a very entertaining discussion.
They changed it at some point now. I swear I read that they were going to change it, but I don't know if it's for next season.
But surely to more, not to less, because of Brexit, right?
Yeah,
so if anything, I think it's going to end up, they're going to force us to have more rather than less. But another somewhat interesting point, not that it's super big news because, well, we kind of saw it coming, but the interesting part about this is, to me still, that at least according to Fabrizio himself, it still very much so feels like these 2 are the front runners. These 2 are our choices. I still don't feel like we're going to end up going for a Pochettino or an Amorim or a Glasner or any of these guys. I just feel like it's going to be between these 2. Do you agree with that, Pice?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I posted below that there's no talks with Poch at all. Fabrizio said they've not talked to him. There's been no conversation. I mean, there's still time, but it's, he did say these 2 are still the favourites.
Why wouldn't they have talked to Poch by now if they are interested?
Yeah, I just think, like having more conversations as well. It's like they've obviously spoke to Enrique and Nagelsmann already, but then saying, okay, they're now going to have more conversations with him. It's like these 2 are going to be, they're nailed on. These 2 are the ones that they're going into the most detail with. And I think Nagelsmann's going to come to London at some point, I was reading. So that'll be interesting because obviously he knows some of the hierarchy members already. So on that sense, it seems like obviously it's going to be Nagelsmann, but you never know. It may be Enrique. Enrique may be looked at as I hate to say like more experienced guy because he's actually not managed many clubs, but just in terms of like age and that sort of thing, like he may be seen as, like Barcelona, he worked with the biggest stars in the world. Like I'm actually, I did a tweet the other day. I'm a little bit more tempted by Enrique now because I just don't know whether Nagelsmann, like being as young as he is that like what we need as our next manager? Like I don't know, man. With these players, like, you know, he's very, very adaptable, which is good. But I almost feel like these players need a certain way of, like, they need to be drilled into a certain way and not, you know, like tinkering the system all the time. Like I was speaking to a Bayern fan yesterday, and he was like, you know, he had a lot of views on Nagelsmann, like how good he was. But then he said, well, you know, some of the Bayern players were a bit frustrated with how much he changed the system and the way of playing. I was thinking, that just sounds like fucking we're going to get an article 2 weeks into Nagelsmann's pre-season saying that Chelsea players are confused, and I just don't want that. So I don't know, man. There's lots of thoughts going around in my head. I'll be looking forward. I'll be excited by either, I think, because it'll be a fresh start. But I don't know, man. It's just something about Enrique is like, you know, sticking with that philosophy, sticking with that way of playing, like. That could be what we need, I think, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll only know once one of them comes in and we see. That's the end of the day. I think that's the point.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. Like, I see that benefit, but then I'm like, we're apparently still interested in buying centre backs. We have so many centre backs. If we are always going to play a back four, what the fuck did we sign any of these stupid centre backs for then? Do you know what I mean?
Like, I don't get with some of these. Yeah, with some of these transfer rumours, it's like, even when I'm tweeting them out and they're coming from, you know, like top sources, I'm thinking, well, you know, like the interest in McAllister. Fabrizio said we're interested in him. You know, he's not one of the priorities, but we're interested in him. And I'm just thinking, like, why? Like, we've like, is the new man? Like, have they already decided? Like, I don't know. Like, it's so confusing. Like,
yeah,
or are we just going to get another man? Is one of these two guys going to be forced to just be like Potter, where he was like, okay, yeah, you want McAllister? Well, it doesn't matter anyway because we're signing him. Like, I don't want that. I want the managers to get his players in a certain sense. Like,
surely that means
how are you
Kovacic
going to
goes
fit
then, right?
Fofana and Badiashile and Thiago Silva and Koulibaly, because he won't leave, and Colwill, and, you know, how are you going to fit that in a back four? Yeah. I'm just asking. If you always play a back four, now I prefer a back four as well, but I also have to be realistic with what we have, right? And I you know, I mean, the whole. But Bayern is just such a difficult club to go by anything, because Bayern players also had issues with Carlo Ancelotti. Like, let's not forget that. The Bayern players literally complained about how training went under Carlo Ancelotti. So I don't think Bayern players having any sort of issue with Julian Nagelsmann means anything, if I'm being perfectly honest. I mean, we heard rumors that some players at Chelsea had issues with Tuchel, some had issues with Potter, some had issues with, you know, the guys with Lampard, some had issues with Sarri. Like, players will have issues with every manager. So I don't think that's necessarily so dependent on the manager. It really annoys when people say, you know, Enrique has this more elite experience. No, he doesn't. Nagelsmann has more elite experience, if anything. You know, Enrique obviously at Barcelona, but, you know, Bayern isn't too far off Barcelona. Now, obviously, he had a more successful season. Fair enough. Totally. We all agree on that. But Nagelsmann took Leipzig to a Champions League semi-final. You know, what was Enrique's biggest achievement outside of Barcelona? You couldn't even name it. His biggest achievement was probably finishing 7th with Celta Vigo, which for them is good, but it's still not quite as like taking Hoffenheim from the relegation zone into the Champions League. You know,
did Spain get to the finals or semis of Europe? Was it the final? They lost.
They got to the semis. They lost to Italy in the semis.
Yeah.
Which I guess that's a good thing, but like, you know, it's international football. How much like.
Yeah, Spain's hard as well. Like, Spain's really hard because, like, I remember looking at their team in the World Cup and I thought, that is an arse team. Like, for Spain's, like, history, like, they've fell off a lot. But then I was, like, looking at some of the stuff he was doing. Like, Enrique loves to play with a false nine. And I want a bloody striker. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, it's difficult. It's like things I don't like about both of them.
I prefer Nagelsmann. I know the age thing, but I'm like, other than Thiago Silva, no one in our squad is old anyway. Like, of the ones that will still be here next year. So that's when I don't think the age thing will be too much of an issue, especially when he has the successes of, you know, the Bayern and Leipzig in particular eras behind him. Like, you know, as much as it didn't work out to the best extent of Bayern, he still won the Bundesliga. He won the German Cup. He won the German Cup with Leipzig as well. Like I say, he made the Champions League final with those guys. I know last year in the Champions League they lost to Villarreal, but you know, bigger managers have lost to smaller teams. But yeah, I mean,
respected. If it is Nagelsmann, I just hope the players respect him enough
No, I agree, but I mean, they fucking should.
They should, but egos in football. You know what players are like. Like they talk in WhatsApp groups like we do. They look at the manager that's coming in. What have they done? I can already see the whole like, oh, some of the players are confused. Like Chelsea bringing in a manager that Bayern sacked so quickly, and other than that, like I don't know, like it's just so much bullshit that goes around in this club, and I just think. I can already just see stories, to be honest. But
at the end of the day, if results are right and performances are right, there's never going to be an issue, right? Like if what Nagelsmann tells them and they do it works, they're not going to question it.
And there was that story as well.
Do they do a good job as the manager, and then you won't have any of those issues, I guess.
Yeah, there was that story. I can't remember who it was from, but apparently Nagelsmann was said to be intimidated by Mane or something when he was at Bayern, and I'm just like.
Intimidated,
like he was like taken aback by like his attitude or something, and I'm just thinking like,
I mean, Mane is a well-known twat, so like I'm not surprised.
But like intimidated, like come on, man. Like,
no, he shouldn't be intimidated. I agree with that, but
yeah, like that's what I'm just thinking. Like, are you ready?
He looked like he would be. I don't know.
He punched up Sane, man.
But he took over Hoffenheim at 28 and 28 years old. Half the squad will have been older than him, and he took them from the relegation zone to the Champions League. Like that's all I'm trying to say, man.
It's hard because there's, you could probably talk for hours about what you like and what you don't like about these two, and it's just, it is very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, Rick, you say that. Miles clear of Lukaku, that's for damn sure. And he's now Spain captain, which is even more baffling. But anyways, I mean, Damesh, we've spoken about Enrique Nagelsmann plenty before, but anything you want to add that maybe you haven't said before type thing?
No, Pies summed it up, summed up perfectly. Like at the start, I was leaning towards Nagelsmann, but I think now I'm swaying more to Enrique just because of the group of players we got, and I don't think a manager playing so many systems like Nagelsmann have will suit our kind of players, and I think we just need someone who will just like galvanize that dressing room again and like make it really, really like intimidating for the players. So, which is what they need, I think. So, Enrique could work out, and like, there's pros and cons to both of them, in my opinion. Enrique and Nagelsmann, and obviously, did you mention before? There's no other candidates that are sort of in for the running, or is it just them two?
Well, I mean, now it seems to be them two. At least.
Yeah. But yeah, it probably will end up being one of them too. And I mean, like as fans, we can criticize each of them, but we can also praise both of them as well at the same time. So yeah, let's just wait and see. To be honest,
exactly. One thing's for sure: if Luis Enrique signs, I very much doubt he will want Victor Osimhen. If I'm being perfectly honest, so this is another reason to get the manager repped up soon, because we need to flip and know who we want to sign. Because other clubs are going to be interested, as you can see at the bottom here as well. Bayern, PSG, Chelsea, Manchester United, they'll all be interested. It's going to be interesting because if Bayern want Osimhen, who's going to go for Koulibaly? So, that's another interesting one because they're not going to sign both, are they? I still haven't made a final decision on which striker I want because none of them fully fill me with confidence. Osimhen has Serie A tax, which I'm not saying necessarily that that's the biggest real thing. I'm just saying is the reality of a Chelsea fan is how many of our recent Serie A transfers have worked out well. Do you know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. But then who else do you get? In an ideal world, you get Harry Kane, but it's never going to happen. So then what? It's a tricky one. I'm not even going to ask you guys on all of this because otherwise we're never going to get through these guys. We've discussed this in the past as well. But this is interesting, though, that the whole up to the new coach and price, which, again, I mean, they were talking about, wasn't Fabrizio saying last week that, we're kind of already in the process of starting to make that happen. And now it's all of a sudden up to the coach, which means one of two things. Either one of those two reports is wrong, or we already know more about the new coach than the media lets on, or than the club lets out. This has been a big discussion on Twitter recently. In particular, again, after the Real Madrid game. I can only repeat what I said really the last time we spoke about this. For me, I don't think we should be spending 80 million pounds, 100 million euros on him right now. I just think we need too many other players. We are in too much financial pressure where that would be logical. Like for that to be logical, I think he would have needed to almost score every game, and be by far the standout player in every game, and he's not quite done that. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm not saying I wouldn't, in an ideal world, like to keep him. But it's a bit like with what I said about Enrique and the centre-back options that we have. I'm like, well, yeah, he might be a good manager. You might like him, but you also need to consider with what we have. And with what we have, what we need to do, the financial issues, what we need to sign, who we already got coming in Nkunku, I just don't think that's the move. The only thing I'd be in favour of in terms of keeping him is another loan with an option to buy. I wouldn't even agree to an obligation, if I'm honest. Well, unless the obligation is very low, I guess. But in a common loan with an option, I would be happy with that. I think we should do that if the manager obviously wants him. But I just think you'd be crazy to spend 80 million on him right now. Like a player a player that's great, a player that we are concerned would do great at another club. I just don't think we should be spending 80 million on if he's not great right now. Like, especially like unless Atletico tell us loan isn't an option, but apparently it's not ruled out. So therefore, if a loan is an option, why would you ever do something different? That would just be, to me, a bit illogical. I know you're a big fan, Pies, but do you not see that in a way as well? If you can do a loan, why would you not? Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I would definitely try and do another loan if that's possible with an option. Because I mean, at the end of the day, that's better from a financial standpoint. But if it comes down to buying him or not buying him, I would just rather buy him and take the hit now, because I just personally believe if he goes to another Premier League club that's more finished article than us, I just think he's going to tear it to shreds, man. I really do. I really
agree
do.
with you on this, but that logic
applies to me, bro.
I think that same thing about Mason Mount, and we already have him. Yet we're still willing to let go.
See, I guess that's just difference in opinions. Like, I don't think that about Mason Mount. I do think that about Felix. For me on Felix, there's no buts. I think we should sign him. I
can in front of goal isn't even a small but. Even like his out, like, and I didn't actually know this, but the fact that Joao Felix's most productive season has come to 25 goals and assists, and that was at Benfica, not Atletico. And Mason Mount's best is 29 goals and assists at Chelsea. I'm not trying to say Mount is better than Felix, but I'm trying to say, should we be spending 80 million pounds on Felix? Like,
I think
he's not creative enough to accept, like, because he doesn't have, like, he has a whole less than 25 assists over his whole career. So he's clearly not creative enough as that.
I don't know. I just think he's got the ability to explode. And I think similar things were said about, Odegaard in his first season here. And now look at him now for Arsenal. So I think it's going to happen.
Odegaard was a lot younger when he joined Arsenal than Felix is now.
He was, but people were saying, he's, Real Madrid, he's flopped in Spain. What's he going to do over here? He wasn't great the first season. Now he's just exploded once the team's better functioned. So
again, I'm not trying to dismiss Felix as a player. It's more like the price that's the issue. Do you know what I mean? Like if we're talking 50 million, I'm like, okay, it might be worth the risk.
Yeah, but he's not a 50 million pound player though. Like you can't.
But his stats are.
You get Anthony Gordon for 50 million nowadays. Like people just need to
Yeah,
but know, like 80 million is the new norm.
Then you do that. You're right. Okay, maybe 50 was lowballing it a little bit too much. But again, though, like if we were in a situation like, say, in a year's time when we have the squad a bit sorted, we're not fucking 11th. We also have Europe coming up, because that's another issue. Like squad depth, you, me, with Clutch and Aaron as well. We have many debates. Is squad depth a good thing? Is it a bad thing? One thing's for sure, if you're not in Europe, it's a worse thing than if you are, because you have less relevant competitions to play your good players in. So if you have more than 11 top players, they're not going to be happy playing in the second round of the Carabao Cup. They're not going to be happy maybe scraping a Conference League, if we even do that. I doubt it at this point. If you have only one game a week, you can't have too many players in the same positions. And Nkunku and Felix play the same position. Yeah, you can fit them in, but then where does Mudryk go? Where does Sterling go? Where does a potential new striker go? Are we realistically going to be able to sell Mount, Havertz, Pulisic, Ziyech, all in this? It's not that easy to sell players. So, yeah, I have a few worries. Now, if he stays, I'm not going to sit here and complain. And if we sign him, because then it's happened. But you know, if Bowley did come to ask me instead of James Corden, which would most certainly be a better shout than asking James Corden, I'll tell you that much, Mr. Bowley. Because that guy knows fuck all about anything. And he's also rude to people. Have you read the news? You know, don't ask the opinions of rude people. Rude people are not nice. But yeah, that's just me. Damesh, I know we've discussed it plenty of times, and I don't want to get hung up for too long on this topic now, but how do you see it? Like Pi said, if we were forced into don't buy or loan or buy for 80 mil, what would you then do? Would you then rather buy him for 80 mil or just let him be?
See, the ideal scenario for me would be as in the previous stream was to extend the loan, but then have like an obligation or what's the other word? The option to buy for the season after for maybe a cut price from 80 million. Like, I'm sure we can somehow get the price down by at least 10 or 15 million. And I think then it'll be worth it. But I think what it is with Felix is just like, it's just the timing of how he's come in. He's come into a team who don't have a stable midfield. I know obviously we signed Enzo Fernandez, who's done fantastic, but we don't have a DM. We don't have a proper box-to-box midfielder. We don't have the sufficient enough attackers to actually create and score goals, apart from...
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I saw that as well. That made me laugh as well. Seeing that.
My God.
But oh god, I lost my train of thought now. But yeah, like if the option was to keep Felix, then like I wouldn't be too against it. But I just want to see us address other positions and then bring in Felix on the permanent if we can. Because like Pi said, I think he'll if he went to Arsenal's team, bro, he would absolutely destroy the league, man. Imagine the amount of...
No, I agree.
And they wanted him before us, by the way.
United as well. I think in Man United,
we are in too big of a... Like, we're 11th. We can't worry about what other teams are doing right now. We need to worry about ourselves to start with first, you know?
That is true. That is true. And I just want other positions addressed first before we come across this, which is why I'm more of the option of loan and then maybe opting to buy him the season after.
Yeah, there you go. And I just also don't think he works hard enough. I'll be perfectly honest. We're in the Premier League, because Odegaard works hard.
But Hazard never worked hard for us, bro.
But things like, for example, that goal we conceded away to Spurs, he cannot do things like that. Like 80 million and you cost no. You know, we have our complaints about Havertz, but since Felix has come here, Havertz has scored the same amount of goals and got more assists than Felix. And yes, Felix has looked better every time, but, you know, then if we want the player to look good, we can also sign, you know, Adel Taarabt or something. You know, he looked good. Still played for QPR, though. Or was it QPR? Like, yeah. But let's not get too hung up on this. A couple of other pieces of news that I wanted to get up. Seems like, and I'm not trying to play I want to be right. I try to stay away from arguments in that way, but you know, we were discussing it, Pice, and I was like, I know they say at the end of the season, but it's not going to be the actual end of the season. It's going to be beforehand, probably at some point in May. So I guess we'll see what happens with Mason Mount. Apparently, Liverpool have made him their primary transfer target after deciding to pull out of Jude Bellingham, who I also don't think we should sign. Number one, I don't like him. And number two, I think he's way too expensive. But, you know, that's another issue. What is the next one? Dragging the situation of him. Yeah, McAllister. I mean, you touched on that earlier already, Pice. So it's another one where I'm like, really? McAllister is who we should be getting? And then this one, just to quickly touch on that as well. Vitor Roque, the Brazilian forward, who, according to Felix Johnson, obviously, not to diss Felix too hard, but obviously we know how the last time, his youth info is much better, but when he tried to go for bigger news, that didn't really work out for him. Now, in the end, we got Enzo, but not the way he thought it was happening. He said Vitor Roque has apparently agreed personal terms with Chelsea and no one else at this time, but a fee with his club hasn't been agreed. Now, Fabrizio has said Vitor Roque's priority is Barcelona and is still waiting for them. Other clubs could try and jump in, but he's waiting for Barca still. I can only say the same thing as I said when it came to who were we recently trying to sign. We have so much bigger issues right now. I know he's talented, but it's Brazil. You'll find another one that's basically as talented in 2 years younger. You'll find them. It's Brazil. It happens every time. We have way too big of an issue to buy players like this right now, in my opinion. Like, we shouldn't even concern ourselves with things like this right now. Like, scout them all you want. Obviously, the scouts have to do what they have to do. But we have contracts to sort out. We have players to sell. We have players to buy. We have a manager to get. Don't get players like this. I know that's maybe, somewhat, limited perspective point of view. I get that maybe someone would think that, but I don't know, bro. Like, I'm not expecting you to know anything much about him, Dams, but do you agree with the general sentiment that we should first fix our current issues before trying to fix ourselves in 5 years?
Yeah, these kind of signings, bro, should happen when we've got a fully functioned team, a team that's winning. Like, this should, if anything, Man City should be trying to go for these kind of players, like these 15-year-old Ecuadorians that we're trying to sign. Like, it's what I'm talking about, yeah. It's just not right for what we need right now. Like, if our team is we're literally winning like trophy after trophy every season, if we're winning trebles, quadruples, or something like that, then great, fantastic, let's do it. But we're literally in transition right now. This is the last kind of signing that we need. There's so many areas in the team that need addressing, man. This should really just be that last, very, very, very last priority.
Yeah, I agree. Pice, your thoughts? I know when we discussed this Ecuadorian kid, and I said that you weren't in full agreement with my idea of, sort things like this later because of how talented he is. But like I say, Brazil come out with these level of talented players all the time. So,
Yeah, this I've watched a lot of clips on this guy, and actually a few matches. He played with Andre Santos in the under-20 tournament that they won.
Yeah,
I forgot the Sudamericano or whatever it was called. It looks like another. He's very similar to Gabriel Jesus. He plays up front. He's quite nimble. He's small. Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Gabriel Jesus. To be fair,
okay.
He's a good player. He's a good player, but I think he's
how old is he? 17, 18?
I think he's 18. I think.
Yeah.
He's been reported
18,
like apparently it's like 40 million or something like that. I mean, Endrick was like 60 million. It's just, I just don't understand where this where this money's coming from, and like it's just all very confusing to me. I don't think we'll sign him personally. Maybe we will do in the summer after we've done a few other bits of business, but I think what can be said is that we are obviously looking at a lot of these talented youngsters for the multi-club model, which I think actually, in the next few months, I think we'll probably invest in a club, and then you'll probably see the likes of Santos, maybe Casadei. I know he's out on loan at Reading. Slanina might even go. I think a few of them will go out on loan to that club, and I think that's when we'll start to see. Okay, it makes more sense now. We've got them in places, we're using them. So
but
I think
why not sign them once we have those things in place rather than before?
That is obviously the question, and I think what journalists will reply to you is they don't want to miss out on them is essentially why, I guess. But
it just seems short-sighted to me. I'm like, you just signed a 15-year-old from Ecuador. Do you really think you're not going to find a 14-year-old from Brazil, or in 2 years, 16-year-old who's equally as talented? Because you most definitely will. It's Brazil.
Yeah.
They have 250 million people. They live for football. Of course, they will find more talents there. Come on.
Yeah, apparently that Kendry Paez guy had so much interest from European clubs. Yeah. So I'm quite excited
it's
about
totally okay. If we're in a stable situation, I have no problem with going for players like this. But I just think we need to be a bit more stable than we are right now.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'd say I agree that the amount last summer, I mean, I think we spent 80 million alone on players that aren't even going to get in our first team at the moment. And that's just great.
Barely played. How many games did Chukwuemeka play? And we spent 20 million on that. I have no problem with him.
He's such a good player. I hope he plays more for us.
Has he even started a game for us?
I think early in the season, but not in a while. When we had the injury crisis, he got a couple. But my days. Obviously, those types of players got super unlucky that we got City away in both first cup rounds. If we had a League 2 side, League 1 side, even Championship opponent, those guys would have got a lot more minutes, a lot more starts, which maybe would have, helped them force the manager's hand into playing them in the bigger games as well. But because they never had those smaller games, they never got those chances. So this is it was a season to forget from top to bottom, from decisions that the club made, from injury crisis, from just unlucky with certain draws, whether it was, the side of the Champions League draw that we got now. Look at what we did to AC Milan in the group stages, and now AC Milan could be in the semi-finals. That's ridiculous. They were so shit when we played against them. So
Even
how
against
they're
Tottenham, bro.
potentially in a Champions League semi-final. It's a disgrace to the competition, quite frankly. We need a Super League right now. How could they be in the semi-final? Look at them. They've got Giroud up top. No offense to Giroud, and he's miles better than anything we have. But it should not be in the Champions League semi-final. Oh my days.
They'll poor against
Hopefully
Tottenham as well,
Napoli
man.
turn this around, because if Milan, who come second in our group and we battered, make the semis and we don't, I'll be fuming. Do you know what I mean? But I couldn't agree more with this comment from Mitch. This fan base is not ready to understand this. But hey, we've discussed that plenty of times. We'll get into Mendy Kepa in a second. We will finally, we didn't have time last time out, so we will get to Bertram's quiz today. Bertram's quiz for Brighton versus Chelsea, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat. Get involved. By the way, guys, if I'm sure there's some of you here that don't usually say a lot in the comments. So, say what you have to say. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what you're feeling ahead of tomorrow. Put it in the chat and subscribe if you haven't already, of course. Why is supposedly my connection low? I'm literally plugged into the Ethernet. How can my connection be low? Huh? How is that possible? Stupid StreamYard. Anyway, let's get going with this quiz. Brighton versus Chelsea. Everyone knows that this season is a write-off, with our only saving grace, being the Hail Mary on Tuesday. Nevertheless, we hope to see improvement, and if we're lucky, just the goal tomorrow. Our goal would be a good start, wouldn't it? All right, question 1. Brighton-Chelsea is a fairly new fixture. Question is, how many official games have we played against each other? Well, that is an interesting question.
Fucking hell, I don't even know when. It can't be that high, surely.
No,
Brighton
otherwise you wouldn't have
19.
said new fixture, right? So I'm excluding 49 and 39 from. Well, I'm just excluding those. So I'm gonna say 29, just because 19 seems a little too little. Now, obviously, I know they only got promoted a few years ago, but I assume they were in the same league as us in decades previous, right? So therefore, I'm gonna say 29. Damesh, what would you pick at all?
I said 19. I'll go 19, I think.
All right, Pice?
Yeah, 19. I think it's going to be the lowest.
You might be right, boys, to be fair. It is 19. 12 wins, 5 draws, and 2 losses. Well, let's hope we don't add another L to that tomorrow. That would be nice, wouldn't it? All right, question 2. Like Chelsea this season...
home, by the way.
Sorry?
Chelsea have never lost at home to them, by the way, so don't do that tomorrow, please.
Nope, please do not.
You jinxed it, bro. Allow it, man. You jinxed it. I'm coming for you, Pies, bro. If it happens tomorrow, I'm coming for you, bro.
Yeah, it's Pice's fault. Not Lampard, not the players. It's all Pice's fault.
All Pies' fault.
Question 2. Like Chelsea this season, Brighton as well couldn't hit a barn door last season. By how many goals did they underperform their XG over the whole season? I thought it was 2 seasons ago where they were so far under the XG rather than last season. But
it's got to be 15 or 20, I think, because I remember seeing this. This was like really high.
Yeah.
Graham Potter's Brighton in it, so
15 is still a lot, man. I guess I'm gonna say 15 for the same logic as Damesh has gone for, but which one are you gonna pick, 15 or 20, bro? Or obviously one of the others.
Say I'll go 20, man.
Right, Pice, what about you?
I'm gonna go 7.5.
Okay. You're right. You are right. There you go. I think the season before that it was bigger, so maybe we got mated by that a little bit. There you go. Question 3. Brighton Chelsea is a fixture that loves a banger. I'm not sure why you always said Brighton Chelsea. We're playing at home tomorrow, but anyway, so much so that this game has held plenty of awards. So, question is: since the 17-18 season, how many times has the goal of the month been scored in this fixture?
The Willian goal that surely got.
Yeah, I think there's 3.
And that bicycle kick that I can't remember.
And Reece James, first game of Lampard.
Jahan Bash and Reece James.
So
yeah,
it's got to be 3.
And Willian, yeah. No, it's got to be 3, surely. 3. Yes, Jahan Bash, Willian, and James. There you go. Look at us go. Oh, yeah. I remember him. All right, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, in the chat, from the clues, we need to now figure out which current or former Chelsea player we are talking about. Clue 1, which we never usually get it with. I share a name with one of the league's legends in the Premier League stadium. Oh, I'm already baffled. Let's get to clue 2. I was signed from Southampton and played 6 years for the Blues. What?
It's a Premier League stadium, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
We couldn't have signed many players from Southampton, to be fair, so trying to think.
What's the Forest Stadium called again?
I don't know.
No, I swear it's just like the City ground or something.
Oh, is it City ground? Okay, never mind.
I was thinking Romelu, but
I think
definitely
you're
not
right, actually.
stadium.
Yeah, I think you're right. But
There's a
Premier
lot of
League
stadiums that
stadium?
have like traditional names. So I'm just trying to think of like.
Yeah.
That's why I thought Forest was one of them, but it's not. Okay.
James, St James Park. James is not a
did
James.
we sign some Donny called Ellen Road?
Molyneux? Molyneux, I was going to say.
I mean,
What's
we
the
didn't
John
sign a
Smith
St.
Stadium?
James, but also not a normal James. So
What's the John Smith Stadium? Is that's not in the Premier League, is it?
It's Huddersfield.
Huddersfield, okay, never mind.
shall we just look at clue 3 because I ain't getting nothing
I'm
here.
usually good at stadiums, man, but I don't know about the player.
Same with this.
Stamford.
Yeah,
Stamford.
because and I also don't know. I cemented my legacy, my Chelsea legacy here at Highbury.
What? Oh, I know it. Wait, is it? Did we sign Bridge from Wayne Bridge?
Wayne Bridge, Stamford Bridge.
Stamford Bridge, yeah. That's what I just
gotta
said.
be,
I
right?
have no idea if we signed Wayne Bridge from there.
I mean, it has to be. That's got to be.
Yeah,
it.
it's
Surely.
got to be.
Bridge,
No,
yeah.
I agree. It's got to be.
Surely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
It's got to be.
There you go. I was like, all right, Hernan Crespo. Didn't know a stadium was called that, but sure. Or that he came from Southampton. But yeah. All right, next one. The Chelsea way. What? I don't even know what I'm looking at.
That's
SC
a French club.
Bastia. I think Italian. But
I think that's French.
Unless it's on what is that island called in English? Well, Corsica in German anyway. So, anyways, is he trying to tell us how many goals he scored for that club? Maybe. I don't know. So this will be
French.
12.
Laurenz is French.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Lyon, he scored a whole 7. I still think this is what this means. For Chelsea, he scored a few more. I see. The thing is, I also obviously don't know these slides beforehand, so I don't know if I click another one. Is there another club, or do we then have the answer?
I think that's 16 goals.
Yeah, but
Was the one before? It was Leon, wasn't it? The one, yeah.
Leon. What? Fuck it. It's going to be hard.
Someone in the chat put Essien.
But did Essien play for Lyon?
So I'm trying to remember.
That's the thing with these old players. I don't know what clubs.
I'm going to click the next slide and see if that's the answer. I do apologize because I'm like, I don't even know what I'm trying to figure out here.
Oh, it's got to be like.
Yeah,
it's got. I was thinking Mykhailo, but there's no way he scored 16 for us.
No.
Not,
Chelsea to Real Madrid. Come on, we should get this. It's got to be a French player. Who went from?
It's got to be Essien, no? Because obviously he was on loan from us in Madrid, wasn't he?
No, Gallas, no.
Diarra.
Diarra, that's what I said. Diarra, yeah.
He didn't score 16 goals for Chelsea either. Let's be honest.
You never know, bro.
This guy banged them in at Chelsea and nowhere else.
I mean, if this, I mean, but it can't be Robin because obviously the French clubs. I'm saying Essien. It's got to be Essien.
2 goals for Madrid.
The Chelsea way last
Milan.
clue.
He
was at Milan and didn't score. Now it has to be Essien. It has to be Essien.
Yeah.
Yes, Michael Essien. There you go. Had me for a second there, Bertram, trying to realize what I'm even trying to figure out. But we figured it out. So go us. And now the last one, golden goal scorer. Look at Ruben getting a goal.
I know this already.
You know this already.
Oh wait, is this the?
Oh, I know this as well. Actually,
this was when Neil Warnock lost his shit.
When he lost his, when he lost the plot. I'm not sure. He's even gone on podcasts since then and complained about us on that day, or the referee in particular. It's Aspie.
Referee and luck.
Aspie.
It's Aspie. Yeah. Did you know as well, Pice?
Yeah, of course. This is one of the most memorable games for some reason.
The goal shouldn't have stood as well. I remember.
It's because he was a yard offside and the lineout didn't give it.
Yeah, VR saved us, man. That was under Sorry, wasn't it, that season, right? Yeah.
Well, you know why I remember this? Is because this is the game they started singing "Fuck Sorry Ball." That's why I remember it.
Yeah, and then we turn it round. But yeah, there you go, Azpilicueta, and I think that is it. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into talking about tomorrow. One thing I want to bring up is a report from Nizar Quintela or the Standard today, earlier in the day, and apparently Lampard ponders goalkeeper switch as Chelsea make triple approach or triple approach in search for a new number one. Apparently, Luis Enrique has also asked or considered Oblak. Again, I don't want to question Nizar too much, but I just don't see that possible at all because, and I replied the same to you Pies when you reported that from Nizar. I'm like, he didn't include De Gea in the Spain squad because he's not good enough with his feet. Jan Oblak has spent the last 10 years playing under Diego Simeone, never using even his foot for anything other than saving the football. Luis Enrique will not ask for Jan Oblak. I refuse to believe that is a thing. I refuse to believe it. But regarding tomorrow, Pice, I'll let you go first again. Do you think we should? Change from Kepa to Mendy tomorrow?
Oh, yes. I would give Mendy a game. Why not? Fuck it. Yeah. Why not? That's my answer. It's just why not?
Yeah. And honestly, even I'm at this point right now where I'm like, Kepa has not done great in the last few games. I also wouldn't be shocked if purely Lampard being here makes Kepa worse just from their previous history, right? Just confidence-wise. Probably questioning, will he drop me at some point, blah, blah, blah. And you might as well give Mendy a go. If Mendy has an absolute howler tomorrow, you can put Kepa back in goal for Tuesday. Do you know what I mean? And if Mendy does well, you keep him in goal until he has a howler again. And at the same time, none of us think either of them are good enough to be a permanent number one anyway. I still don't know if we plan to keep one as the backup or if we plan to buy two or if the plan is to make Slonina the backup. I have no idea what the plan is. But, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Dams, would you change the goalie as well?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd start Mendy tomorrow. It can't. I say that. Can it be any worse than what Kepa sort of performed for us recently? But one thing I'm worried about is sort of the way Brighton press as well. And I think maybe actually, do you know what? Maybe having Kepa in goal might actually help us for tomorrow instead of Mendy, and having Mendy for the Champions League might benefit us, to be honest. So, but yeah,
but surely if you play Mendy on Tuesday, you need to give him a game before that, no? Because
that's true as well. But to be fair, I'm just looking from the outside in on both games of both teams that it'd be more appropriate to start Mendy against Madrid. But obviously throwing him into that game would be risky. So just give Mendy a go. Why not? See what he does. Try not to mess up. I guess. I guess from corners he'll fill us with some confidence and set pieces by actually catching crosses on that Kepa and maybe long shot distances. But yeah, let's just see how Mendy comes back from his injury, innit?
There you go. Exactly that. Let's bring the lineup discussion up on screen. And once again, like we did actually for last weekend's game, but we didn't for the midweek one, rather than going with what we would like to see, because, I don't know, just mix it up a bit. Let's do a predicted 11, what we think Lampard picks. So, you've just said that you would pick Mendy, and after that report, do you also think Frank will, Dams?
Yeah, I think he will. My gut saying that he'll pick Mendy tomorrow. Yeah.
Fair enough. There you go. Let me actually just highlight this super quickly. And I'm not surprised at all. Good thing that I am smart and Nizar Kinsella is not. Disazi, this centre-back who's not even young anymore, we're apparently interested from France. Is not a target at the moment because it would just make no sense. Why would he be? And rumours on Oblak are not true. He is set to sign a new deal at Atletico Madrid, as said by Fabrizio himself. So cheers for that. Cheers, Nizar. Unfortunately, you have been mudded. But, so is life. Sometimes we all get mudded. Is what it is. But yeah, you pick Mendy, Damesh. So sorry, I cut you off. Or not you pick Mendy. You think Frank will.
I pick Mendy as well, to be fair. If I was picking the starting 11, yeah.
Great. Pice, do you agree that Frank will pick Mendy after those reports as well? Although, it was Nizar who has literally just got mudded by Fabrizio. So maybe he's waffling on that one too.
Yeah. We'll see. I would pick.
To be fair, Nizar only said Frank is pondering it, not that he's decided, I guess.
Yeah, I would go with Mendy. I think he's going to go with Mendy as well, just because, I know he said fresh legs. You don't really need fresh legs in goal, but Kepa will probably start against Real Madrid. So
do you think? Okay, but if you think that, I think he will play Kepa. I think the same goalie will play tomorrow and Tuesday. I just think it might be Mendy that will play both.
So yeah, I don't.
I think
Kepa plays still in the Champions League.
But then surely I guess you could. Kepa is obviously in the flow enough that it's okay. It would just be stupid to play Mendy Tuesday and not tomorrow, I think. So I guess you could do that. Maybe he'll just base it off tomorrow's performance. If Mendy does super well, he keeps his spot. If he doesn't, Kepa is back in. Maybe it's one of those.
I think that would be fair. To be fair,
Boys, it's
a one-off game, like right as a goalie, where you're like, you can only do so much, right? Like some goals you can't save, and sometimes you don't even face enough shots to do anything. So it's also tough for a goalie to really prove himself in certain games, right?
Any shots for Bettinelli and goal?
I mean, I'd be down. Do you know what I mean?
I would definitely.
I watched him play against Aston Villa in that friendly. I'm not down actually. All right, yeah, no, I agree. I think he will pick Mendy goal tomorrow. I feel like he will pick him against Madrid as well, but maybe it is like we touched on in terms of maybe it's going to be on the basis of tomorrow will be decided for Tuesday. Let's get to the centre backs then. I'll start with you, Pice. Do you think at all that Thiago will play again? Because I think he will be rested tomorrow and then play again Tuesday.
Thiago Silva?
Yeah.
You think he's going to play tomorrow?
No, I think he's going to be rested tomorrow and play again Tuesday.
He'll be rested. I think it's going to be Fofana and Badiashile.
There you go. No chance of Alaba and Badiashile because Fofana obviously was injured and has played all the time since.
I think there could be a chance of Chalobah as well.
Instead of Fofana, they're not Badiashile.
Instead of Fofana, yeah.
Oh, what I haven't even asked you guys, maybe we should clear that one up. What formation do we think Lampard is going to play? I just chucked a 4-3-3 on screen.
What you've got on screen, bro.
Yeah. I think he'll do the same.
Yeah.
And obviously we'll discuss that again on Monday, but to follow that up, do you think he will also do that against Madrid? Because 2-0 down, you might as well go for it? Yep. Or do you think he'll revert to the back three?
I want him to go. Oh, sorry, go on, Pice.
No, I think he'll go 4-3-3 for both. I think that's why I'm so scared about Real Madrid because fucking hell. I mean,
I think he'll go with the back three again against Madrid. I think I'm gonna say I think there's gonna be some rogue names we'll see in that team sheet. Like I can see Frank just doing the most wildest thing on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, wild things. Yeah. Ooh, that'll be interesting.
I can imagine that. Honestly, I could just see it, man. Like, yeah.
What, like Mudryk left wing back, something like that?
That's what, bro. I'll be crying out for Mudryk left wing back, man. Let's just see it, man.
Maybe considering Badiashile and Felix have the same, XA in terms of expected assists. Maybe we should play Badiashile as a 10 or something. Maybe we should consider that one because if the guy can have the same amount of XA from centre back as Silva as Felix does from striker and second striker, then maybe that's what we should be doing. But there you go. No, I'm probably in agreement with you, Pice, that I think it will be those two. I don't think he'll.
But Silva came off early though, didn't you?
Who came off early?
Thiago Silva against Madrid, didn't you? Came off early.
But so. I still don't think he'll play tomorrow. Even though, as much as Frank did say in the press conference that players that haven't played against Madrid and maybe even last weekend will get a chance, he also said he's here to win games. So I don't think he'll just go batshit crazy in terms of lineup. I don't think, because he's very adamant. Number one, he wants to win a game for his own sake, for his own reputation and getting a chance in the summer at a different club. Currently, Lampard in his last 16 games as manager is currently on 3 wins out of the 16, including obviously Everton. So he will want to win. So I guess on that logic, maybe Thiago Silva, but I just think it's more likely Badiashile and Fofana. I mean, Dams, do you not think so? Do you think Thiago Silva will start tomorrow in terms of in Frank's team?
Well, judging the fact that he came off early, I've got a feeling he will start tomorrow. I mean, I personally wouldn't start tomorrow. I'd keep him for Tuesday, but that substitution told me that he's probably going to start against Brighton. But yeah, I just don't see Badiashile getting back into the team. If I'm being honest, as much as I want him to, I just don't think Frank will pick him for whatever reason. All
right. I mean, fair enough. Obviously, it's now 2v3 on that anyway. But do you still think Badiashile will be the other one, or do you think Fofana will be the other one? Who do you think, if you think Thiago plays, who do you think it will play with?
I think it'll be Fofana.
All right.
That's what my gut's saying, yeah, Fofana. I think Fofana will definitely start regardless, I think. It's just
but you do agree it will be a 4-3-3 or a 4-back at least tomorrow?
Yeah. I think it'll be back 4 tomorrow, yeah.
All right. Well, me and Pies are picking the same, so we're going to pick that on screen purely for, democracy things. But, interesting shout. We'll see tomorrow. If Dams is right, he will get that shout out. Do you know what I mean? Let's do left back first. Obviously, Chilwell is suspended for Tuesday. But that makes me think he will actually play tomorrow. I know he was talking about, I think Chile starts tomorrow because he can't Tuesday. The only small logic I could see in not starting him is if obviously Lamps is like, well, they don't, judging by Wolves, we had no idea how to play in Frank's 4-3-3. So maybe giving a couple, like Cucurella, if he has to play left back, because it won't be Lewis Hall in the Champions League. So if Cucurella plays left back in a 4-back against Madrid on Tuesday, number one, we're screwed. Number two, maybe on the basis of that, you should let him get more used to that position. Does anyone think that logic should apply, or do you think it will be Chile, Dums?
Yeah, to be fair, you do make a good point about sort of Cucurella being sort of used to that, getting used to that position again, because he's mostly played as a left centre back, hasn't he? So, and obviously it's against his former club tomorrow, so you never know. You could start tomorrow, but just on the basis that Chilwell can't play Tuesday, I'm putting him.
And he obviously didn't play the full game on Wednesday either. So
yeah. So I've got to think it'll be Chilwell.
Yeah. Pies, do you agree? And if you agree, do you still kind of see why maybe Cucurella would be a shout if Cucurella is to play left back on Tuesday?
I do see it as a shout. Personally, I think it's going to be Chilwell. Yeah. I think Lampard will want to try and get him back on, like, a bit of momentum, like quick turnaround, forget what happened type thing.
I agree.
But no, I definitely, like, if it is a throw at the back, like if it's this on Tuesday, then I could definitely see Cucurella starting. For sure, but
on Tuesday, or you mean also tomorrow?
Tomorrow and Tuesday, like he could get him ready for that, but I don't know. I mean, what's interesting is obviously it's Cucurella's former club as well. So if there's a performance he's going to want to do, I'd say it's this. But
did he play when we lost 4-1 in Brighton? Did Cucurella play that?
Yeah,
a good point. He did actually.
We know how that one went.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but. I'm going to go with Chilwell, but I wouldn't be too mad if Cucurella plays.
I wouldn't be too mad, and I would also see a logic in both. There's a lot, like you touched on it, the whole bringing Chile back from that, obviously, the downer, getting sent off and stuff, so purely from a psychological point of view, starting him in this one would be smart, in my opinion, but also preparing Cucurella for Tuesday would also be smart. Unless on Tuesday we are back to the back three, then no need for Cucurella tomorrow. What about the other side? I am very adamant that Reece James needs a rest, that Reece James arguably deserves to be dropped for one game, not permanently, of course, but he was diabolical. I genuinely think he was... I actually think he was our worst player against Madrid. I actually think that, because obviously Felix and Sterling were poor, but they had an impossible task as well to some extent. Reece saw plenty of the ball. He just kept giving it away, cost us a goal, let Vinicius do to him whatever the flip he wanted, kept moaning at his teammates, just weren't good. Attitude-wise, performance-wise, just all of it was just bad. Aspie hasn't played in weeks. I think Aspie will come in from Lampard's point of view to give Reece a rest because he needs it badly. Again, I can only remind you guys, he pulled out of international duty with England due to some ongoing injury issue and has started every game for Chelsea since and played 90 minutes in every game for Chelsea since. The guy needs a rest badly. I know we want to win and everything, but we want to win more on Tuesday. So Reece needs a rest, should get a rest. I think Aspie plays. Pies, do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, I know you also... Was it you who said maybe Chalobah right back? I don't know. Was that you who said that?
No, it wasn't me.
All right. Well, I saw that somewhere and I thought it was you. But I think Chalobah could play right back, but I personally see Aspie playing just because...
Especially Frank will still like Aspie and that,
Yeah, that sort of thing. That's why I see Aspie playing. It'll be interesting. I mean, he's not played in a while, so, he's kind of rusty, but he's also kind of got that sort of freshness and motivation, I guess. You are right, he will try. It's just, will he get cooked? Probably. I mean, Mitoma,
he will get cooked, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people in the chat have said it already. Aspie against Mitoma. Well, you missed his name. But Mitoma, absolutely. Mitoma Marsh will be unmatched. Mitoma guys. I totally get it. I get it. But if Reece plays anything like he did Tuesday, he will equally get cooked. So it doesn't make a difference. And at least you will then have Reece rested for Tuesday, which still matters more. And do I think Aspie gets cooked any less than Chalobah? No.
Aspie's just got to be smart. Right back.
Sorry? Say again?
I just said, Aspie's just got to be smart and just, stay 5 yards off him and not,
exactly.
just be smart about it. he's got experience. Like, he's played against all these fast wingers. Like, just use your experience.
Yeah, it's not like it's his first time, but there you go. Switch to a 3-4-3. Well, we are picking what we think Frank will pick, and I don't think Frank will pick a 3-4-3 unless his logic is, I need to rest Reece, but they have Mitoma, so I need to play a 3-4-3 for that reason. But I just don't think Frank didn't do it against Wolves, so I just don't see him doing it against Brighton. I could be wrong, of course, but I still think so. There you go. I mean, Damesh, do you agree that it's going to be Aspie at right back for Frank Lampard?
Yeah, obviously, judging on what sort of Lampard's going to do, I think it'll be Aspie. But the positive that ran my mind before about Chalobah, like, I want to see Chalobah start right back tomorrow, because I think he can play that position quite well. And against Mitoma as well, I think he'll nullify him, or try to nullify him even. So, but yeah, I've got probably Aspie's going to start. What game did he start last for us? Was it against Fulham where he got the injury, or?
No, he got the injury against Southampton, and I don't even think he started that game. Didn't he only come on and get injured?
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah.
I'm not sure. It was the injury was definitely against Southampton, but what I can't remember is if he started that game or not. I'm not sure.
He must have. Yeah.
If anyone can let me know if in the chat if Aspie started against Southampton, do let us know. But no, AMS, we disagree. In the predicted 11, I think Aspie is picked because Lampard might be an idiot, but he doesn't want to injure his own players. So, and I think Reece is most certainly running that risk. You see it with every step he takes, and the more he played in the last 4 games, the worse he got. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. But anyways, let's move into the midfield. I think the midfield will be drastically changed, but I think the one guy that will be in the team is the one guy that shouldn't be having to play in this position. You know what? I'll bring this tweet up quickly, and I know some people aren't happy with me saying this the other day, but I believe it so firmly, you guys can't even believe how firmly I believe this. Wait, what was deleted there? The whole thing was deleted. All right, where is it? There it is. Bring up this tweet of mine just quickly, because Enzo Fernandez constantly having to play this deepest midfielder role. Now, in the midfield too, it was a bit different, and sometimes Kova was deeper than him, but sometimes it was still Enzo. We spent 120 million euros. For what? We spent it to help him, to make him, or to allow him to help our creative issues, because that's his biggest strength, alongside many other things. But that's his biggest strength, with that being also our biggest weakness. And then what we decided to do is, and I'm not trying to say that Jorginho is the savior of everything, and if Jorginho was still here, we would have won every game. By no means am I trying to say that. But if you spend 120 million euros on a player, how about you play him where he can actually influence the game properly? Because what he's doing right now is literally doing Jorginho's job, just worse, with a little bit more pace. Because he's not, as of today, as good as Jorginho is at dictating a play from a deepest midfielder role as Jorginho is. I love Enzo Fernandez. He's one of, if not our most talented player in the squad. But he's not that. That's not him. He's never done that. So, I'm not saying, not the way Jorginho did it, and not the way we are asking him to do it. And if you still had Georgie, you could actually let Enzo influence the game. And like this, all he can do is be long ball merchant, because that's the only chance he has. But our forwards are incapable anyway, so you can't really play the direct passes to the striker. He did it against West Ham, but he can't do that when he plays in the midfield 3 as the deepest midfielder, because he can't get as high as he was against West Ham with that wonder ball for Enzo, or the wonder ball for Havertz against Leicester. He can't be that high if we play that formation, and if he plays that position. So, yeah, I firmly stand by this. I just think it's utterly stupid. I think it would have been, I get the 10 million, and I know we need money anyway, so I understand. But just don't sign David Dutcher Fofana. There's your 10 million back, That's all I'm saying. But he's not. He's not. I don't know what, he can do that. But to say or to think that that's his main ability is just, you might have watched the wrong player by accident. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. But, yeah. Bring it back. I mean, you can obviously comment on what I said, whether you agree with it or not. But do you agree, Dams, that Enzo will still start, or do you think the whole midfield 3 will be changed? Because I don't think the whole midfield 3 will be changed, and if one stays in, it's going to be Enzo. But yeah, thoughts, I guess, on my tweet, if you want to comment on that too, and then the midfield.
Yeah, your tweet was spot on, bro. It's just sums up our sort of transfer strategy and our planning, to be honest. And Yeah, I think with regards to tomorrow, I think Enzo will definitely start, and I think the other two midfield positions will change. And what do you want? Do you want my other two midfield choices now, or
No, let's just go with this one for now.
yeah? So definitely Enzo will start tomorrow. But for me, I don't want him starting in that role. But obviously Frank is going to start him in that role. So yeah.
Fair. Pice, your thoughts on my tweet, if you want to share those as well. And then obviously, do you agree that Enzo stays in the team? And if he does in a 4-3-3, it will be this position?
I mean, the guy doesn't need a rest. I find it admirable that he's starting all these games. He started every single game since he's joined us, which is...
And I think he's only come off once or twice in all of those as well.
Absolutely mental. I mean, I know he's young, but still, that's quite some, coming into a new league and the pace of it. And, yeah, I'm super impressed with how he's adapted.
And, he went out to Argentina. That's long travel. Played both games for them too.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with your tweet because, I mean, we said on the stream, when Jorginho was the transfer was confirmed to Arsenal, we was like, well, what's the point in that then? And we kind of also mentioned it when Enzo started playing. He was obviously doing very well, but having him further forward as a number 8 probably be the best because, as you said, tomorrow if he plays this number 6 in the 4-3-3, he's not going to get near the edge of the box like he did against West Ham when he pulled off that unbelievable assist. So, he will still play well. He will still, hit a lot of long balls, but he's limited as to what he can do because even with the long balls, he can only switch them out wide. Yeah, it may create a goal, but he's still limited to what he can do. He can't really use his full passing range when he plays as a number 6, especially in a 4-3-3. In a pivot, you may get a chance to go forward a little bit if the other one stays, but that balance hasn't been quite worked out yet. So I do agree. This is why, again, I don't want McAllister because it's if we see Enzo as the number 6 long term, then you just limited him. He'll be a great player, but he could be even better.
You might as well have saved yourself the 120 million. He's great, but not worth 120 million if you're playing in that position.
Yeah, I think you can get more out of him going forward in terms of, passes and just
fixing our issues. He's the one that can fix our issues, or some of them anyway. But you do agree that he will start and that he will start in this position?
Yeah, I think so. My only other shout would be probably Zakaria, but I don't see him starting. Frank Lampard did mention in the press comments, in terms of tomorrow, they need to physically match up to Brighton. So perhaps, Zakaria does come in or a Loftus-Cheek or someone like that. But I just think
Do you think he means physically by, physical, or do you think he means that? I don't think height is mentioned in that. I think it's more aggression.
Yeah,
that kind of physicality.
When managers mention physicality, I usually think Jules, strength and that type of thing. So maybe. I don't know. It's going to be difficult, but I just I don't see if he plays this, who else plays there. I think it'd be even more of a risk to play someone else there. So that's the issue for me.
I do agree. I know, Dams. I know. Obviously, if you can't do 5 minutes longer than that, that's fine. I guess we can pick the 2 8s in one go. Pice, who do you think Frank will pick as the 2 8s?
Mason Mount and Conor Gallagher. I think he'll pick.
Really? Both of them?
Yeah, I think he'll pick them too. I want him to play Chukwuemeka, but I think he'll pick Mount and Gallagher.
Wow.
That's my prediction. Not what I want. That's my prediction.
Yeah. Damn. I think Mount definitely starts.
He's bought on Gallagher a few times, and I think Mount's going to start. So I think it'll be that.
Wow. Well, I mean, I've got a feeling Mount will start, but I don't think Conor Gallagher will start. I think either Colwill or Kante will probably start tomorrow, if I'm being honest.
There's no chance Kante plays. He left him out of the squads last Saturday. Surely he won't play him. Cover, I guess, maybe.
I've got a feeling it'll be Cover and Mount tomorrow. But if this was sort of my midfield 3, I'd go with probably Zakaria, Enzo, and maybe a Kante. If what we think Lampard would do. So I think it'll be Mount. For me, it'll be Mount, Enzo, and Cover, in my opinion.
No way you'd pick Kante, surely, with Real Madrid in 3 days.
We still got to 40 points, bro. we still got to beat Brighton, man. We still got to beat Brighton, man. I'm sorry, but we have to play.
We're not beating Brighton. It doesn't matter who we start. Let's be honest.
Probably right, to be honest, bro.
Yeah. So I'm not 1,000,000% sure, if I'm honest. I
just
wouldn't
can't
be
see them both
surprised if
starting at
Damesh
Mount
is
and
right.
Gallagher.
I wouldn't be surprised if Damesh is right and it is Mount and cover. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Pice is right. So I guess I'm right now. I don't know. I think it's more like obviously if it is cover and Mount, it would be the other way around in terms of which side. But because if you're gonna, because maybe then he'll play Zakaria as an 8 because no one seems to see Zakaria as a 6 anyway. So if he's not starting Gallagher, maybe like the fact that he said, players that didn't play in Madrid and even last weekend, maybe a Ruben. I don't know. I'd still love to see Ruben as an 8.
Could be Ruben, yeah.
I haven't seen that in way too long, I think. But honestly, I think biggest likelihood is Gallagher. I have to agree with Pies. Unfortunately, Dons. I just see him doing it. But just because of what he said, the players that didn't play, maybe Chukwuemeka. I forgot about him. FOTMob and some other apps tried to tell us he was injured. He didn't travel to Madrid, but Frank didn't take him to Madrid. If Frank didn't take him to Madrid, he ain't starting him tomorrow. He's lucky if he's on the bench. Let's be honest, man. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind Chukwuemeka starting either.
No, me neither, bro. Me neither.
It'd be great to see him play. Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, but I think it's probably going to be those two. As much as I'm not a fan, but it also looks so unbalanced. So maybe I'd bring a shout back for like a Ruben or a Zakaria if Mount is one of them. I don't know. I leave that on screen, but I'm just really not. I'm really not sold. So we'll have to see. Damesh, I know you need to head off in a second. So tell me your front three. Who would be? Well, not your front three. Who do you think Frank Lampard will start as their front three?
Right, Frank Lampard's front three for tomorrow will be. I think it will be Felix, Sterling, and
really?
Havertz, I think.
Really? You're expecting that? Again, considering he said players that haven't played will play. That's just...
I mean, like, this is what I think Frank would do. Obviously, the front three that I want is Mudryk, Aubameyang, and probably Pulisic, bro. I'll be honest. Like, I want to see that front three. I just want to see it against Brighton. Let's just roll with it, see how it works out. But yeah, Pulisic might come back in tomorrow. Obviously, he didn't play against Madrid, so yeah, I can easily see that as well. But I've got a feeling Frank would still try and somehow get Havertz and Felix into the team, along with Raheem Sterling.
Maybe he will, mate. Maybe he will. Absolutely. Damesh, appreciate you giving us your time. As always, ladies and gentlemen, please check out his Twitter. As you can see it on screen now, and also link down in the description. And yeah, Damesh, I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Yeah. One last thing, score prediction just before.
Oh yeah, give us your score prediction. Come on.
Yeah. I'm gonna say a 2-1, narrow 2-1 Chelsea win, and that's with purely because I love this club, and that's it. No hope.
No logic. Yeah. No, I absolutely. I could not agree more in a way.
Big up, lads. Big up the chat as well.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro. Pice, let's finish this one off. Do you also think Downs was smoking a little bit when he suggested that front three from Frank tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't think Sterling will start. I don't even think
he already shouldn't have started the last two if we look back in hindsight.
Yeah, I don't think Felix will start either. I think both of them probably going to play on Tuesday. I would go, if I had a prediction, I'd probably say Mudryk, Havertz. I mean, I did put Alba in my prediction, but I'm going to go Havertz here. And then I see this one's difficult because something thinks Madueke, another thing thinks Pulisic.
I think Pulisic is more likely.
Yeah, Madueke hasn't played in so long though, so he might just be like chucked
because he's used Pulisic as a sub, right? And he's not even brought Madueke on. So I'm like, likelihood would be that he's gonna use Pulisic over Madueke. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, someone in the chat said he'll pick Pulisic over Mudryk. Now, maybe I can only tell you before the game against Madrid started. Obviously, before we had sending off, before we had injuries, he said Havertz and Mudryk would feature. So didn't say that about Pulisic. So maybe you're right that he would pick Pulisic over Mudryk, but I just think he'll pick both because I don't think he'll pick Madueke. I just really don't. Yeah. I'm also not sure here. It could be Kai. It could be Aubameyang. I know it's not going to be Dacho Fofana. I know someone in the chat want that. It's not going to happen. He's not even good enough for the under 21. Let's be serious. Because Havertz didn't start Wednesday. If he started in Madrid, I would have been pretty confident that Aubameyang would get a chance today. But because Kai didn't even start in Madrid, I think both will just feature. Kai maybe a 60 and then Aubameyang half an hour or 70 and 20, maybe one of those. It's like similar to what it was against Wolves. But then again, it also didn't work against Wolves. But also, we had Felix on one side and Sterling on the other. Sterling completely unfit, Felix not a winger. And Cucurella behind it. So I already think this would work better. I think we're going to absolutely demolish the midfield if Frank does start these three, especially Mount and Gallagher like that. It's just a bit too offensive, I think. But maybe that's, maybe offense is the best attack is the vibe we're going to go with tomorrow. Why would you, especially because in hindsight we're like, we should have started Havertz and not the other guys against Madrid. Why does that logic put us into starting for Aubameyang tomorrow, Pice? Like, is it just to give it a chance and see how he does if he starts a game?
Yeah, I think so. Desperate times call for desperate measures. I think we can't score a goal. Why not? Same thing as Mendy. It's like, just give him a go, see if he can score a goal. He is an experienced goal scorer. You can't really say our attack's fluid anyway, so it's not like we lose anything by playing him. So, who knows? He may just, there may be a story on Sunday morning, why haven't Chelsea played Aubameyang more after he scores 2 goals against Brighton? You never know. Things are funny in football.
Also, we can't forget Aubameyang isn't in the Champions League squad. So, Aubameyang can't really be used in, get him going for Tuesday because he can't play Tuesday.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I think, I don't know. I predicted Aubameyang to start, but here I've also predicted Havertz to start. So I guess for me, it's 50-50. It's going to be one of them, I think.
You know what? Because I agree with you. It's kind of 50-50, maybe a slight edge to Kai. But I'm honestly so unsure. And I know maybe I could do this down here, but I'm not even sure who the other option is because I could see Kova, I could see Ruben, I could see even Zakaria, maybe. I could see, what's his face? I forget now. Chukwuemeka, I guess. I don't know. So I guess we'll just put up both. But what it really annoys me that we've signed. I know Felix is obviously much more advanced, much more developed, much more a ready-made player now. But we got Felix on a loan. We signed Mudryk for a lot of money. And I still feel like I haven't even seen Mudryk play properly. It still feels like that. I know he started a few games, but honestly, maybe other than Dortmund away, I never really felt like I got to see him play, if that makes sense. Because he was either against a West Ham, where he never touched the ball because Cucurella never gave him the ball, or there was never a chemistry or whatever. And how many other games did he even start? And then Potter randomly played him up front away at Leicester, and it was one of our best games in recent times. So just give him a go at least. Do you know what I mean? Madueke has had the same, if not more starts than Mudryk. Now, you could argue Madueke is more ready in terms of just having more professional football experience, but we spent so much money on the guy. Just at least let him go, give it a chance, right? Do you not agree with that, Pice?
I absolutely agree. I want to see him start tomorrow. Brighton aren't the most defensive team. I think it'll be quite an open game, so I think this would be quite a good game to start him in, and we definitely need to see more of him. I get the whole adaptation thing. He hasn't looked great, but he also hasn't had, I can't remember. Has he even played a full 90 minutes yet? I don't think he has. So
no.
I'd like to see him just, he can't tell me he can't do 90 minutes now, surely. Give him 90 minutes, see what he can do. I'm sure at least 1 or 2 phases in the game he'll affect. I'm just sure of it. He's got the talent. He definitely has the talent, and makes the right run. On another day, like the Fulham game, maybe he scores this time. So, and also I think it will do his confidence a lot of good to play 90 minutes. So I want to see him start.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, because Pulisic is still rumored to be leaving in the summer, that's my only why would I pick Pulisic over Madueke? Because Madueke is the guy that's going to be here. Pulisic is not. But I guess we can never be so sure, right? Especially with how many other potential forwards might leave. maybe will because homegrown with Callum Hudson-Odoi, although Pulisic would be paid off by now, wouldn't he? Well, I guess he wouldn't because his first contract hasn't run out yet. But yeah, I'd be quite happy if it's Oba. I have my doubts, but at the same time, like the season's done, you might as well try it. Like even I'm not that fast. Like sure, Aubameyang is going to be in next season. We know that for an absolute fact. But neither might Kai. So and neither will Dacho Fofana because he will be on loan. So who said Pully is leaving, Laurenz? Well, every journalist ever, because we tried to sell him in January, but he got injured on January 2nd, and that's why we couldn't. So that's why, right? Right, Pies? Like the expectation is still that Pulisic will leave.
Yeah, he's definitely earmarked for a sale. I just, like you said, there's so many forwards that could leave. My God, he could be like the busiest transfer window ever, like genuinely. And I think the last two were like, really tired me out. But this time, I think, with the sales as well, I think it could be crazy, especially early on in the window, because obviously we've got to buy players as well. So, yeah. I'd be interested to see like who could buy Pulisic though. Like again, he's the type of player I don't want him going to a Premier League team because I think there's a really good player in there, and it's just frustrating. But I actually hope if there's any forward that stays, it's probably him, to be honest, because I think he's a good rotational player.
Question is whether he's willing to be that. That's why I think. Weirdly, I think Hudson-Odoi might stay for two reasons. Number one, he can't demand anything right now after the loan he's had. But also, who the flip would want him after that loan? Unless we let him go for ridiculously cheap. But then, I don't know if Callum is on higher wages than Pulisic or not. Callum is on 120. I don't know what Pulisic is on. But I just don't. He's been here enough and never really been a starter other than in like post-lockdown. So I just don't. I think at some point he will not be happy with that anymore, and at some point he will need to go. So that's what I'm expecting. And yes, I don't know what you said is not true, but he's certainly expected to leave, and we certainly tried to sell him in January. That is, well, being reliably reported as such. Whether you want to buy that then or not, it's a different discussion. But yeah, let's take this off the screen. Chelsea against Brighton, 11th against 7th, and it's not us at 7th, and even that wouldn't be good. But it's Brighton at 7th, who are a whole 7 points ahead of us with 2 games in hand on us. So if they were to win both games in hand on us, they would be 13 points ahead. You know what I meant today? It's potential 13 points behind Brighton. A disgrace. An utter disgrace. Their goal difference is plus 16. Ours is minus 2. They scored 52 goals. We scored 29. Bro, an honest score prediction, regardless of what Lampard picks, do you even see us getting a point?
Don't even know if I see us scoring a goal, to be honest. That's how bad it is.
No, you know what I mean?
I mean, we got
not with the team we picked. We're definitely not keeping a clean sheet, I will say.
We broke a record of no goals in 4 matches since the first time in 1993, was it? I'd like to see what the record is the last time we didn't score in 5 matches.
Maybe never.
Fucking hell. That would really
no, it's got to be probably 1924 when we had 16 goals in a league season, flip's sake.
I mean, honest score prediction. You know what? I'm going to go for something quite rogue. I'm probably going to go 2-2. Yeah. Something
in a
weird
way, I see it possible, except how are we going to score 2 goals?
I don't know. I think it might be quite open, and yeah, 2-2. Yeah,
2-2. Okay. I want to say 2-1, but Damesh said obviously that, so maybe it'd be a bit more interesting as something different. I don't want to predict another draw. It's just I'd be miserable tomorrow. Why be miserable today already? I'm gonna say, but we're not keeping a clean sheet. I'm gonna have to go with what Damesh said. I'm gonna say 2-1. I just have to hope, right? Like I have to try talk it into existence. Yeah. It's just miserable time. It's just a miserable time. I'd be very intrigued what Lampard plays. If he plays a few certain players that at least get me intrigued, like Mudryk, maybe Pulisic, maybe Madueke. Starting Mount, who hasn't started in a long time. Then again, he was injured for Wolves. Then he was involved against Madrid, but is Mount even fit to start a game? To be honest, I'm not 1,000,000% sure on that. Who knows, man? Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, though, please do check out Pice's website, londonsfirst.com. Link is down in the description. Of course, check him out on Twitter as well for all your latest Chelsea news. Follow me on Twitter. Link is down in the description, and you can see it on screen at Laos1507. Subscribe if you haven't already. Road to 20,000 subscribers is well on its way. We're very close to 19,000 subscribers, so please hit that big subscribe button. Is it 17,000? Whatever it might be. Please hit that big red, not red anymore, big subscribe button down below. Get us over the big K mark now, and then we're on the way to 19K. So 20K even. But yeah, like the video, like the stream if you haven't already. That'd be great. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea. We keep hoping, we keep praying, upwards and onwards, and we'll see you next time.